Hi guys, once again my name is Taylor Schriver, and in the discussion of the Bacchae I decided to look at some of the tensions involved. So for me, the most obvious tension when reading was sort of the idea of the rational versus the irrational. The irrational obviously being this new religion that has infiltrated the city of Thebes, which is basically this religion in support of Dionysus. The reason why it's kind of viewed as being irrational by those citizens in the city is because it sort of allows citizens to just kind of live their life how they want. They can give in to their sexual desires, which is a big part of it. Um, so for me, that's where the irrational comes from, and then this rationality is sort of based in those who reject it. So obviously, one of the big characters who rejects this new religion is Pentheus. So because of this irrational versus irrational, I feel like this further divides into three other tensions. So these three other tensions become men and women. So for me, men and women is one of the most obvious tensions right off the bat. It's the women who are the most fervent Bacchae. They're the most strong-willed supporters of Dionysus. So they're kind of, again, representing this irrational idea. Where on the other hand, Pentheus kind of represents men collectively in that he's standing behind the rational idea that these women are merely giving into their sexual desires, and that this religion isn't based on true principle and true reasoning. So that's a very obvious source of tension for me. Another source of tension that is again rooted in rational versus irrational is the idea of the mountains versus the city. So the city sort of represents this rational nature where the religion is banned. Obviously, whenever Cadmus made Pentheus the king, he banned this new god and this new religion. So that once again represents rationality. But in the mountains, we see that the women are free to do whatever they want. They're dancing in Bacchic styles. They're singing. They're obviously using their thracises. And in the mountains, they have the power to do whatever they want. And we see that they acquire great strength in the mountains. And one of the lines says that they're basically tearing from the ground and milk sprouts, or they could tear from the ground and wine would sprout out. So this sort of once again represents this very freedom from the political structure and the morals of the city is what the mountain is. And then another source of tension for me is young versus old. So one of the opening scenes, or one of the early scenes, is when we have Tiresias, who is the blind seer, basically trying to convince Pentheus that he's wrong in believing that this religion of Dionysus is irrational. So we see repeatedly this conflict, and we sort of kind of begin to wonder who is rational and who is irrational. But it ultimately ends up being that Pentheus was the irrational one for never believing in Dionysus and the power of Dionysus. So that being said, we sort of see, again, that the old is the rational and the young is the irrational.